next session that is on demonstrating marketing ROI in a complex digital world. So one of the most important components of a marketing campaign is to evaluate its performance and impact, also profit as well, so that it can be determined whether or not your marketing efforts are actually helping the company improve its bottom line. Well, the insights gained through the process can be used to drive the future, data-driven strategies for smarter decision-making, which is really, really important. At an organizational level, calculating return on marketing investment can help guide business decisions and optimize marketing efforts as well. And to discuss this in a detailed manner, we have our industry experts, of course, with us. I would like to take the honor to invite Azmat Jagmag, who is the marketing head, Warner Brothers Discovery, South Asia, OTT and Broadcast. Please welcome Azmat. Now that you all are rejuvenated with the session that we just had, please put your hands together for all our esteemed experts who are coming on stage one by one. Now, I would like to take the honor to invite Sai Narayan, Chief Marketing Officer, PolicyBazaar.com. Please welcome Mr. Sai. Thank you so much. Well, please join me in welcoming Mr. Tapan Acharya, Senior Vice President, India, CleverTap. Please welcome Mr. Tapan. And we have a session chair, of course, Mr. Jayant Kshirsagar, Managing Partner, Fractional CMO Partners. May I have the honor to invite you on stage as well, sir. I have the privilege of having this loud audio.
Let's begin by a show of hands. How many marketers in the group here?
5%.
Okay. How many techies in the group here? And how many others? So I presume all of them are business leaders to make life simple. No, we wanted to have that show of hands because we wanted to see what should we focus on, etc. Okay, so let's make the session a little interesting. Instead of going into theory and academics, why don't we share some real-life stories as a response to some of the questions that are going to come your way. And I'm going to insist on making one thing mandatory, and that is, all of you have to share at least one personal experience where you had to justify ROI on your marketing campaigns, and you had a tough time. Please share a funny incident with us. Oh. Is that a deal? Okay, thank you. So let me go back a couple of decades ago when I started my marketing journey. Life was pretty simple then. If I have to, let's say, put up a billboard, the simple thing to do was, see the traffic movement on that road, put that billboard up, and then assume that you've got the required OTS. Today, things have changed. If I have to put a billboard or a out-of-home media display, there's a sensor on it. It measures how many people came in front of that billboard or the display, how many people saw it for how much time. Life is not the same what it was earlier. While we are calling it as digital marketing, in my mind, there's nothing called as digital marketing, analog marketing. Marketing is marketing. It resides on the three foundational pillars. You have to identify the target audience, you have to identify the right messaging, and then the channels which can give you maximum reach at optimal cost. Let me start by asking the first question to Tapan, who started his journey around the same time as me. How have things changed over the period of last 2 decades when it comes to marketing and measurement?
Thank you, Jayant. Thank you, everyone. My equals, my betters sitting with me on the dais. It's been 3 waves that I see, and I'm sure everybody relates with it. It used to be little broad brush. There used to be hoardings. Then there was mass media, etc. And even mass blast of emails, etc. as well. And now the current version of marketing is very, very bi-directional. How many of you people buy online? Is there anybody who buys online? Yes, no? Okay, how many of you do research online, purchase online? Okay, great. How many of you research online, purchase offline? Even while you're in a phone store, you research something online. So a lot of this has become bi-directional. While you are looking for a brand, the brand is in the equal breath looking for you. that what are you interesting, what is the content that you're consuming, and here the data is the king. And if the data is the queen, definitely, data is the king, definitely content is the queen, and definitely personalization is the prince.
Love it.
So there are so many journeys which each of us are taking. We are, and it is a general analysis that everyone know, anybody who buys online and buys offline buys 3 times more. And more users are buying online because enemy of buying is not money, enemy of buying is time. You don't have so much time to go to every store and check out different assortments, analyze and purchase. So in the same fashion, even the brands are targeting you in a personalized manner. What user doesn't want to give you is time. Make it personalized and so reach back to me. So what has changed is the bi-directional nature, first thing that I've mentioned. What is the second thing which has changed is there used to be a marketing assembly line. That marketing assembly line has become an operational assembly line. What I mean by that is that the chief growth officer, the chief marketing officer, the chief product officer, all of them are on the same assembly line. Whatever the product, which is an online product, it could be a fintech product, it could be an e-commerce product, whatever is the customer journey map the product manager has made comes out of the same thing, the growth revenues as well as the marketing matrices. So all of them stitch on the same assembly line. These are the things, Jayant, I feel has changed these 2 things.
No, but makes complete sense, and I can resonate with that journey because, again, as I said, I've seen that myself. Azmat, let me come to you now with the next question. We spoke about your journey. You've seen traditional media houses, and then you've seen OTT, and you've seen the convergence. How has your perspective changed to measurement of ROI on the marketing spends with that convergence?
Yeah, thanks Jayant for the question, and thanks Tapan for the lovely perspective from a consumer journey perspective, right, on the marketing ROI. Just a quick introduction to the people here. I'm Azmat. I head marketing across linear and digital for South Asia for Warner Brothers Discovery. Prior to that, I've led marketing at Z. I've worked with brands like Sony Live, etc. So I'm what I like to call myself born and brought up in the media and entertainment industry. And in my journey, I've seen this pivot of, have had the opportunity to work with, say, largely what we call traditional media houses going digital, going OTT, etc. And it's been a ton of experiences. I just like to kind of circle back, just go back to this very interesting experience that Jayant was very keen that we share about measuring ROI and our experience with it, right? I'd like to share one with you guys. By the end of the experience, you guys can evaluate whether you'll ever want to do something like that in your professional career, but nonetheless, I feel it's an experience worth sharing. So without naming the brand, without naming what team, etc., we had launched on worked on a very high profile launch of an entertainment brand. And extremely high profile, extremely high investment, all sorts of media might was pulled in, all sorts of creative might was pulled in, etc., etc. And it bombed miserably after launch, right? Like it did not do well, it bombed. And of course, all of us as marketers got into a room and, began the critical analysis of why it didn't work. And we made like a 40-slide presentation to be shared with management as to this, this is the reason why our excellent marketing and media strategy didn't work. And I think about like 1 hour before we were about to walk into to present that 40 slide, I still remember the number of slides also to the management. We kind of collectively as a team just said, hey, no, you know what? I don't think this needs a 40-slide presentation. This needs just a simple acknowledgement. So we prepared a 1-slider, and all that the slide said was, sorry, we messed up. And messed up is a polite word I'm using in this forum. And I think that meeting that we had expected to kind of go on like a really intense grill session, it just kind of, the meeting, okay, fine, cool, let's do better next time. here is the terms and conditions applied to it. Don't do this unless you're coming on the back of tremendous past proven successes. But the point that I'm trying to make out here is that, there are times wherein often you do your best, especially in an industry like ours, right? Which is content, which is media, and you still have limited control on the outcome. In times like these, one can kind of just, step back and be delusional about what you think you did right or wrong, or maybe just tone up and said, hey, you know what, we can do better. So it's something that happened somewhere in the middle of my career, something that I still hold close to my heart, saying that sometimes it's just best to step back and say, no, I could have done better. But having said that, that can never be the norm and has to come on the back of a lot of things that you've done right. Coming back to the second part of the question that you asked is about how I've seen things evolve. From the days of extrapolation of data in the media industry, like say TAM, BARC, etc., wherein in the broadcast, that's what you're working on, right? And they're extrapolating the data and kind of, taking larger learnings and larger takeaways from it, to the days of digital OTT, etc., wherein you have, like, I think we moved from, looking at 20 data points to say 100 data points on a daily basis, right? What I would say the biggest change that I feel as a marketer, I feel as a marketing leader is this, that when is it that you kind of, what is that point, inflection point, wherein you say, hey, you know what, I need to pivot and move into a different strategy, move into a different creative strategy, move into a different media strategy? Or where is it that you hold on to your conviction and say, hey, I'm not going to respond to this just yet, but I'm going to follow the science and the conviction that I've put behind it, right? Because in the launch of shows, I've seen, again, one of the biggest successes in the OTT industry in the past couple of years, one of the shows that we launched on an OTT platform, in the first 2 weeks of its launch, was not tracking at all. It wasn't tracking. And there were a lot of voices in the room that were coming in, hey, we need to move, we need to put our money somewhere else, let's pick a different show, let's divert the funds here, let's, this thing. And after 2 weeks, the show started getting tremendous word of mouth, tremendous reviews, etc. And that kind of put the show in a very different trajectory. And we, in fact, after a couple of weeks, took the decision of investing more in that show. And it became one of the defining moments of that particular OTT brand, that show. So, to me, honestly, the biggest challenge is it's not the availability of data. There's lots available. I think it is the experience, expertise, and the excellence that the team brings it onto the table is when to give in or when to dig in to your convictions and your experiences. And to me, that's been the biggest change.
Very interesting story. And thank you for living up to that commitment of, sharing a real life story. Now, she's insisting she'll not share the name of that web series. But clues for you, it came during COVID. And it had a very, very interesting, title song or title tune. Okay, I leave it at that. Okay, Sai, coming to you. Okay, IRDA is speaking about insurance for everyone by 2047. But today, if you really look at it, the sector is highly underpenetrated, particularly in categories like non-life insurance. What is Policy Bazaar doing to increase penetration in the insurance sector?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I think Tapan was just talking about the entire behavior of research online, purchase offline, and somewhere, all this behavior we've seen in all categories. But before, to be honest, before Policy Bazaar existed, in the insurance category, there was neither a research online or research offline. So I'll give an example. A few years back, a friend of mine asked me that, can you please help me with this insurance that I have? I don't know what to do with it. So I asked him that, what is the name of the policy? So he said, I don't know. So then I asked him, what is the, where is the policy kept? He said, I don't know. And I asked him, what is the premium that you're paying? So he said some 10, 20,000 per quarter, something like that. You're not sure about that? I'm not sure about that. Why did you buy the policy? I never bought this policy. Someone came to me and told me, my father's best friend came to me and told me that, you should buy this policy. He was my father's best friend. I bought it. So then, I generally ask him, if you're a good friend, मैं कहता, तेरे को पता भी नहीं तूने क्यों लिया है? मतलब, what are you doing with that? So,
That's
so
how
what?
most of us bought our first policy.
I think pretty much everyone in the room never researched offline, online, did nothing when they were buying any insurance product. So that's and also, to be honest, not to blame any of you in the room, or because even I find it, the category, very boring, right? No one wakes up in the morning thinking of insurance, right? There are better things to do. So it's an extremely boring category. Who wants to talk about death? Who wants to talk about health? I'm healthy. So that's what the mindset is. So the first thing that before we move on to what the future holds, the first thing that Policy Wizard did when it kind of pretty much came is to actually give the power in the hands of the consumer and not the person who is selling to you. So pretty much that was the revolution. So what we call it, like it used to be a push category. From push category, how we turned it to be a pull category. Like, for example, today, Policy Bazaar thrives on pretty much 80% plus organic traffic. That's because, our focus was that we want to give the power in the hands of the consumer. They should be, they should feel the need, which is we build the category. They should feel the need and to buy an insurance product. B is to give the power to them so that they research and buy the right product, which is good for them and not good for the person who is selling to them. And the third point being that be financially prudent about what you are buying or you're not buying. So that's how the entire journey started. Now, if you talk about the path to 2047 and what Chairman Sir had given the vision. So that pretty much the vision is we are absolutely in line with the vision of insurance for all. So in fact, if even our tagline pretty much says her family hogi insured, and that comes from the belief. And to be honest, it doesn't sound very cool, but we are super passionate about helping Indians get educated about insurance. It might sound uncool, but this is pretty much our mission, and whoever has been working in the organization actually works with this kind of passion that we believe that India is uninsured, underinsured. Till about we started building the term insurance category, people did not even know something like this existed. Yep. If I ask about health insurance, have you bought health insurance? Most of you in this room would say, oh yeah, I have a health insurance from office. And if I ask you the amount that your office covers, it will be around 5 lakh. A simple admission in a hospital today costs around, minimum surgery costs around 10 to 15 lakhs. So who's going to pay? God forbid you move jobs, not in a job, what will you do? So therefore, we started talking about the importance of retail health insurance. So no one in the category was actually spending tons of dollars to educate consumers. So we took that challenge upon ourselves. So coming back to the point of insurance for all by 2047, I think we are pretty much committed to kind of build this insurance category and increase penetration in this category, and I don't think we're going to take any step back in making it even larger.
Sorry, I'm tempted to add to it. The way you said that, moving from a push market to a pull market, the words which came to my mind is, instead of selling, it is like helping customers buy. Because they are able to compare the whole offering, the whole thing is very personalized to them. So totally hats off to that. And I personally feel that you're actually creating a category out of it. The whole category didn't exist in the past and totally created out of it. One thing I also wanted to add for you, Azmat, was that you must have seen so many matrices, because you were sifting through it and you wanted to separate the grain from the saw. And then you took a call that, okay, this is actually just time. And maybe 2 weeks didn't get the success, and it's just, the darkest hour, and just the sun is about to rise. Maybe if you can talk about a few of those matrices.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, so typically what happens is, when you're designing a media strategy and you're measuring all the ROIs against it, we have a ton of them, right? And it's getting increasingly granular and complicated, even if I may say so myself. There's upper funnel matrix, there's a lower funnel matrix, and there's a SAG, there's customer acquisition costs, and you're constantly measuring, right? And in this case, what's interesting is we had we typically end up putting a lot of media spends on some very measurable, definitely measurable, matrices. But in some cases, it's the ones which, I think you also alluded to at some point of time, the ones which are not very immediately quantifiable or tangible. Say your reviews, your word of mouth, your, equity, and etc. So while it's not a thumb rule or anything, but in my experience, what I've increasingly started to look to get a early sense of how much has the top of funnel really leading it to is to look at the search trends and the social conversations.
Stickiness.
Yeah, so the search trends, right? Because that you cannot engineer beyond a point. You cannot buy that, right? And to me, it's a very honest metric. It's a very honest indicator to show that what this entire noise and euphoria that you're building, what is it resulting into from a consumer pull perspective, right? So to me, these are some very honest, this is what I really look at. If you were to ask me, I've tried not to concern myself too much with the other matrices because they can be engineered, they can be managed. You can take your budget up, you can take your budget down. But the initial word of mouth, conversation, and search trends are to me a fair indicator by now of how this can potentially track in the next quarter.
I'm just adding one. Sorry.
We usually have a slightly different approach, but I think every category or every brand operates very differently. We usually don't put monies behind a medium which does not give a instant have a very strong ROI correlation. Like for example, like outdoor as a medium, I'm sure it's pretty much works. It's also everything is impression based, but we're not able to quantify it immediately from a ROI lens. So we've tried, we failed, and then we kind of pretty much never went behind. So because also we were a startup and we still work like a startup. So it was a lot of investor money that was coming in, and everything was seen from a ROI lens. And also it was good that it was seen from a ROI lens. It kind of helped us choose, helped us kind of eliminate the mediums which we were not able to quantify. So we pretty much kind of focus on, we know that what works, what doesn't work. We might want to keep some kind of budget aside of experimenting on newer mediums. Of course, we don't want to miss out on any medium. We do experiment, but if we are not able to measure it, we kind of say this is
agreed.
We won't do this.
Two points I think that come to my mind are that I think like for example, outdoor not working for you, but for OTT it could be a different thing.
Yeah, of course,
So the first
it depends on the category.
Yeah, it depends on the category and the audience. Second, I think I'm taking away another fact from your story is that it's not about quantitative numbers, but you also keep an eye on the qualitative metrics. So what are people writing in the content, and
Okay.
are they liking the content?
So, honestly, this is not about, it is absolutely about the quantitative numbers. Every day, every single hour, we are looking at ROI, we are looking at, what each this thing. But I was more coming from a place of defining each medium for the objective that it is supposed to serve, right? Yeah. Like if there is upper funnel, massive investment in the upper funnel, and I'm immediately on day 3 looking at what is the CTR on it, then it's not the right connection, right? Yeah. So I'm supposed to look at upper funnel to drive awareness, to drive a pull, to drive conversations, etc. Hence looking at those matrices, which is about search trends, conversations, etc. Similarly, there is a lower funnel activities which are very well meant to bring immediate action to what Sai just alluded to. If that's not giving me, to me, it's the clarity of what medium for what outcome.
Absolutely.
And as long as you have that clarity clearly defined for yourself and the team, I think it just helps us stay the course better. Because your upper funnel tends to have a slightly more longer term impact. Right. And in categories like ours, brand building is extremely important. People tend to renew, continue, stay engaged, depending on how much conversations you create, right? So we don't have to lose sight of the long term and the immediate, and that's the balance.
That's the balance, okay. So let me come to you now, Tapan, okay? Because we've so far spoken about acquiring customers or users, and some discussion has happened around stickiness. But if I look at the mobile companies or mobile app companies whose primary go-to-market model is mobile app, e-commerce, fintech, OTT, name them, we all know that 90% of the users that you acquire disappear in the first 90 days. And therefore, retention becomes a tricky thing. And very few companies focus on that. CleverTap is helping mobile app companies on user retention. How do you play a big role in helping companies retain their customers?
Sure, I can talk about it. But before I go there, can anybody recall 3 brands or 1 brand, 2 brand, which are more than 100 years old? Anybody? Huh? Tata's, of course, it's a large group, but any other smaller individual brand, if you can recall? Bata is another 100-year-old plus brand. Levi's, Harley Davidson, couple of large brands. Now, why do I take this question to you? Is because customer lifetime value, CLTV, is a very important metric. It's not just one-time transaction, as you just said, Azmat, that how long they stay on your platform, how often they come back to you, do you have that recall value? And most of us, most of my equals and betters sitting in the audience are possibly born digital. They've seen the digital world. What used to be a department in a bank is an icon on the phone now. Now, it's very important to have retention. It's very important to make that technology human. It should feel like, hey, this technology is talking to me. For example, like I'll take a case study as promised to Jayant. Swiggy, one of our customers. So how your frequent order has to come onto the top. And that too also the time of the day. For example, if you're having a drink Friday evening, it should be the right snack. Vis-a-vis, maybe Saturday afternoon is for the kids to have pizza. So maybe that's the recommendation. Maybe if you use, say, bank, and we had Deepak here, so if you're using HDFC Bank, so that kind of a promo should be coming to the top because you generally pay by HDFC. So for that matter, recommendation, we have very good ladies sitting here. If they check out makeup for Sephora, I better not recommend a Beardo oil to them because they are checking out Sephora. They would want to have those brands, those recommendations. My good friends on this side of the hall, if they check out polo neck t-shirts, if they like sun-colored t-shirts, it should be to them. It's not just about the product, it's about the persona. Let's say if I'm a guy, and I'm a value guy, stingy guy, and I buy 12 shirts in end of season sale, ki haan mera saal ka quota ho gaya. But I'm vis-a-vis Jayant. Jayant always buys, let's say, in vogue stuff. If I sell something on discount to Jayant, doesn't buy. He wants to have the Ferrari t-shirt and etc. etc. Or Angsuka tiger shoes, etc. So that's persona, the product, as well as the time of the day. All 3 should matter very much.
Hyper-personalizing experiences
It's very,
for the unit of one?
And data. Because next year, as we know that data privacy laws will pin you down. The cookieless world will become very, very strict. So to be able to maintain your own customers' data, zero party, first party, to recommend right product to the customer, it's paramount. So these are the 2 things which I want to mention.
Thank you, Tapan. Makes complete sense. We have 3 minutes remaining, so in the interest of time, I'll now restrict the conversation to 2 more questions, one for Sai and one for you, Azmat. Sai, how do you balance long-term versus short-term perspective when it comes to looking at ROI?
So I think I'll just pick from where Tapan left in terms of customer CLTV. So I think one of the single most important elements I feel in that, and that can also answer the question of long-term versus short-term, is customer experience. So one of the single most, like for example, especially in our category, you might sell insurance product or you might end up doing that, but if your claims experience is poor, the customer is not going to come back ever. So that is for me, I think, and the experience in every category has a moment of truth. for the consumer. For when you're buying a phone, it could be the kind of experience of buying or experience of unboxing, or for a category like OTT, it could be the experience of just enjoying the platform and the content. And for our category, it is pretty much the claims is the experience. If that experience is top notch, I think everything else is taken care of. A customer won't mind in one or two emails his name is not addressed or hyperpersonalized is not there. But if his experience is good, I think he's definitely going to come back and even talk about the brand.
Sai, even while buying, the buying journey makes a lot of difference.
Buying journey also makes a lot of difference. So that's what when you're consuming content on an OTT platform, if it's not working properly or the recommendation engine is not great, it kind of you lose the experience. And coming back to long term versus short term, I think we are bigger fans of long term. Because I'll just give you a very quick example so that you can move for the next question. Is that the way we use our monies is around pretty much 60-40. 60% on pure long-term brand building and 40% on immediate ROI.
Very important.
But in the long term, what we try and do is that the 60-40, if this is the budget that we have kept, we want that our free traffic and paid traffic moves in the reverse direction. Sorry, not reverse direction. It moves in a different direction. Like at least we would want our free traffic be around 80-85% and paid traffic is only 15%. So over a period of time, what it does is that the more you build the brand, the more you talk about build the category and build the brand, the more direct traffic and organic traffic will increase. Yeah. And over a period of time, what will happen is that slowly and steadily, your dependency on the ROI or paying to the big daddies of Google and Facebook kind of, reduces. So what it does, immediately when you're doing it, like in the first 3 years, you will feel the pain of spending such huge bucks on building the brand. But what it does is that if the cost of acquisition I'm just giving an example, cost of acquisition through, say, a brand building effort is 300 rupees versus cost of acquisition on maybe say an ROI specific is 100 rupees. The conversions of your person who's coming through of direct traffic is much higher. And the likelihood of he remembering next time when he's purchasing is even more higher. So over a period of like, say, 10 years or 12 years, that kind of balances that there's a skew.
So it's a very long-term perspective, and it plays in the long run.
So you should always think of building the brand. ROI, look, ROI is everything. ROI should not be seen as digital is ROI, offline is not ROI. It's not as binary. Everything is ROI. Everything that you do is ROI. But the way you want to park your monies and think that if you have to build a brand, then it is a long-term commitment. And trust me, I've been in the same org for around 10 years, but I've seen through my own eyes how this shift happens, how beautiful it happens. Because look, every story is good in hindsight, but I've actually seen this happening. So it just beautifully transitions into a right mix of ROI.
The right balance.
Yeah. Thank you.
Time is up, but I think I promised one last question. So how do you keep an eye on brand equity, intangible elements like building brand equity, customer loyalty, while you are focusing on the ROI?
Yeah, I'll just try and answer that as quickly as I can. In all honesty, I don't think these are intangible anymore. Because all of these indices that I mentioned earlier, your searches, your conversations, all of those are actually very powerful ways of attributing, in the earlier days, what we used to call as intangible, right? And there was maybe one score, which was the brand awareness score, which we would track. Now you have just so many, ways and means. Your social followers, your engagement, etc., are all indices that we use to work towards these erstwhile supposedly intangible things.
Well said. Thank you so much on that note. Thank you for your time and a very, very enriching conversation. Yes,
I want to thank Jayant for being a good class monitor, keeping us honest and asking very, very interesting questions.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
And thank you so much to all of you for making this conversation so interesting, so engaging and enriching for all of us. Thanks once again. Now I would like to request Mr. Kshirsagar to felicitate all our esteemed speakers, starting with Azmat. Thank you, Azmat, for taking our time for us and bringing in such valid points and sharing your expertise and experience. For the photo op, you have to stay. Yes, thank you. Moving on to Mr. Sai. Once again, thanks to you as well, Sai, for bringing out the best of your expertise. Well, now moving on to Mr. Tapan. Gratitude to you as well, Tapan. You took out time for us. We are really glad to have you. Thank you.